what was suspected radiation sickness. These clues and the neighbor's identical account of the blinding light drew the attention of UFO researcher Bud Hopkins.
There was more evidence supporting this abduction than any so far investigated.
Hopkins first studied the ground where the incident took place.
This is what happened to that nice, rich, loamy, black-brown soil that the backyard in Indiana had. It was turned sort of gray and hard as a rock.
Hopkins persuaded Debbie to submit to hypnotherapy.
Something's not right. Like I was being squashed.
Squashed? The whole body?
My stomach.
Under hypnosis, an alarming discovery. Debbie Jordan had been pregnant at the time of the incident, but lost the baby.
I felt as if somebody had taken my insides and just ripped me open inside, and I could feel something pulling out of me, and this little tiny thing that looked like a mouse with no skin on it.
This is the first case that let us understand the alien's purpose.
Hopkins' theory that alien abduction phenomenon is related to a need to genetically manipulate the human species.
It was not right. It's not fair.
That is a woman crying out in pain, emotional pain, that her child is being taken from her.
Through hypnosis, Debbie recalled witnessing a human-like child during her encounter.
She had tufts of white cottony hair sticking out of her head all over, really large eyes, but human, blue. When I thought, oh, I'd love to hug you, I asked if I could take her home with me, and he told me no, she could survive with me. I assumed they were telling me that I was this child's mother.
Debbie says her abductions continued for years afterward, halting only after her hysterectomy. But now, her legacy of abduction has been passed to her 2 children.
I don't expect people to believe any of the stuff that me or any of my family members tell them. Believe me, if I hadn't seen some of this stuff with my own eyes, there's no way I would have believed any of it.
Next, is an alien sexual agenda behind the abduction phenomenon?
It could be other people's wives, other people's husbands.
I've experienced certain things like that. I was with an alien that wasn't totally at will. It's hard to explain.
Hear one woman's account of carrying an alien baby.
I had a very vivid experience of having a fetus put into my body and removed. It's ridiculously hard for me to talk about.
And later, Hollywood's controversial role in producing the abduction phenomenon.
Close encounters, for good or evil, had an enormous effect on what people expected aliens to look like.
And you'll see the ultimate roundup of the facts. Our Unex report, coming up on Unexplained Mysteries. Unexplained Mysteries, Taken, the abduction phenomenon. They are close encounters of the most intimate variety. As reports of abductions continue to rise, so too does another alarming trend: the aggressive sexual nature of many recent abductions. Saugerties, New York. James LaFonte and friends began seeking refuge from the city on regular weekend trips to the woodlands of the upstate region.
I first met James in '87, and a few friends of us, we all went upstate to the trailer just to have a nice weekend and enjoy ourselves and have fun.
Going up weekly almost became an addiction. It was for enjoyment, but it was almost like we were being called back.
As with many abduction reports, the first sign of an unusual occurrence was the shared sense of lost time.
James LaFonte contacted me because of certain fragmented memories. He'd been with a group of friends, and they knew something had happened. There was a time lapse.
Hopkins uncovered a common trait among the group: memories of alien contact in childhood.
Ever since I was a child, I used to wake up and I used to see white light and shadowy figures moving around my bed, and I would get scared.
When I was younger, I remember like an alien looking through the window, being watched, a feeling of being watched all the time.
Through hypnotherapy, Hopkins yielded shared traumatic memories.
It turns out week by week, we were all being abducted as a group.
Like on a table. They have big eyes and skin looks molded. I gotta get out of here.
But the detail and scope of these repressed memories exposed an incident of group abduction beyond any on record.
I remember seeing these bright lights almost in every window, and there's domes on top of the trailer. And everything was glowing, and we just become basically paralyzed. During the abduction, we would walk down this dark road in a trance state.
And we'd be walking to the craft, which was always in the same spot in this pit area.
The Socrates group recalled forced medical tests, and there seemed to be a disturbing focus to the experiments.
Something was being worked on my genitals. I would see James across the room, and the same thing being done to him. I do know the sperm was removed.
To some experts, the group's accounts expose an alien agenda of harvesting human genetic material.
There's a very great interest on the part of the UFO occupants in human reproduction, sperm, ova, the DNA, but it has also included an interest in human sexuality itself.
Sometimes we would be abducted and there would be sexual situations that would pair off.
It could be other people's wives, other people's husbands, different friends that we were with.
According to LaFonte, the experimental pairings could also include alien participants.
I've experienced certain things like that. I was with an alien that wasn't totally at will. It's hard to explain.
To further cope with their trauma, members of the group sought counseling with a clinical psychologist.
Generally, when I work with people using their imagination, there's a personalized stamp that people put into their imagery because it's being generated from a part of themselves. These abductees and their reports do not have this kind of personalized stamp, and I think it makes it even more credible.
I lost plenty of jobs, I lost friends, I lost family, I lost a number of things, and it got to the point where I would, I was contemplating suicide in a sense because there was no escape.
Is the disturbing account of the Socrates group a hint as to why aliens are seeking out humankind? If so, many believe that Kim Carlsberg represents the next piece of the puzzle. Kim Carlsberg was a successful professional photographer when an encounter experience changed the direction of her life.
I came home, went to bed, I woke up, and I was not in my bed any longer. I was standing in what I thought